Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with jazz guitarist, composer, and bandleader Dan Liparini. We caught up with him in late June 2020 during the pandemic to discuss his latest 2020 CD, Tessellations, and so much more. It's a play off MC Escher, and he explains it. His identity has been shaped by a plethora of influences spanning genres, generations, and styles. On this new project, worlds of music overlap and blend in a way that feels both organic and profound as his compositions and improvisation meet. He is based in West Hartford, Connecticut, and has a great story. Enjoy.
Right now, I'm in Hartford, Connecticut, full-time, but currently I'm in North Kingstown, Rhode Island,
okay,
at my parents' house.
Cool. So how's everything going?
Yeah, it's going. I'm sort of figuring out how to, balance all the music things I'd like to do and how that fits into the world today. Sort of just taking some time to enjoy some other things I like doing.
Before we get into your new album and releasing one during a pandemic, I kind of want to know from you your story of, how did you find out that live music was coming to an end and we were entering a whole new phase of life, early to mid-March?
Sure. Well, as I think a lot of people probably we're in the same boat, but I might have had my head buried in the sand of day-to-day life. I was very, invested in, a couple of the things I was doing at the time. And all of a sudden I realized that how serious things were getting. And it seemed just like in a matter of days, everything shut down, from the gigs with my own group I had planned to, musical that I was going to play in the pit orchestra for. So it was definitely surprising, although in hindsight it should not have been as surprising.
So talk to me a little bit about this latest album, kind of, A, from an artistic point of view, and B, releasing it during a pandemic.
The record is named Tessellations from the title track, which I think the record kind of combines a few different worlds of influence for me, and the name for the song and the record were inspired by the work of MC Escher, who used tessellations to combine two different worlds in some of his work. And so I kind of look at the music that's really inspired me, whether it's jazz or folk or blues, and I'm kind of seeing how all of that fits into my bigger picture of how I always heard and wrote music. And I guess this record seemed like all of the songs fit in a sort of particular time of my writing that seemed really related to each other. Some of them were written as early as 2017, and some of them were written and, being tweaked just a few weeks before the recording session. So I really felt like this was sort of the right time to document what I was working on. And I felt like I really had found a band that was doing a lot of service to the music, and felt like it was the right time to sort of document that. And in terms of releasing it during a pandemic, it was not my plan going into it, but originally, I wasn't totally sure about exactly a release date, but settling on September, kind of assuming that even when I picked September 18th, kind of assumed that we would still be in this way of living. And right now I'm, sort of putting together a couple of live streamed shows, and really looking forward to having a chance to play the music with the folks I recorded it with. And just sort of trying to see what the status quo will be for a little while now.
Talk to me a little bit about your beginnings in music, kind of your childhood and how jazz became your life.
I was introduced to jazz through an after school sort of program that I participated in through the Rhode Island Philharmonic Youth Orchestra program. It's kind of a long name, but I met I met my first really important guitar teacher, Jeff Cashin, who definitely showed me some things that I still resonate with me to this day. Showed me who Jim Hall and Wes Montgomery were. He showed me a lot of things that I probably wouldn't have been exposed to otherwise. And a lot of the musicians that I still play with today, I met while I was in Rhode Island, and some of them have wound up in New York. Some of them are still in Rhode Island. Pretty soon after that is when I went to the Hart School of Music, where I started as a composition major and got exposed to a whole different side of things, talking about artists like John Zorn in the program, just trying to figure out just solely as a composer what I wanted my music to sound like. And pretty quickly I realized that I think it fit best under the jazz category. So I went back to being a jazz major, and I felt like I could really bring all those different worlds of music that I had been exposed to from earliest days of, listening to, B.B. King and Jimi Hendrix, to what I was, learning from some of the great faculty at Hart in terms of people who played with Jackie McLean and some of the other amazing musicians that they have played with.
What was the first live jazz show you saw that made you think, man, this is something I'd like to do with my life?
I can remember seeing Brian Blade's fellowship band at the Newport Jazz Festival. I don't remember exactly the year. I was probably 15 or 16, and I remember seeing them play with Kurt Rosenwinkel in the band. And I think I had probably seen local jazz musicians play before that, and I'd seen some teachers play, and that had always resonated with me. But this really was the first time I can remember seeing a band with such a powerful sound that resonated throughout all of the music. And I think right around the same time I saw Jim Hall play for the first time, maybe a year later, and just having heard the music on records, on recordings a bunch of times before, seeing just the intimacy of listening to Jim Hall's trio play at the Village Vanguard, and just how, I was just shocked by how quiet they were at times. Sometimes it would just be Jim with his amp almost off, just hearing the sound of his actual guitar in this little room. And I think those were probably two of the shows that really made me decide that was, what I wanted to do, and realize that there was a sound that I wanted to chase out there, I guess.
What do you like the best about being a musician, a band leader, making music?
I guess I really like the responsibility, because there's never a time where I can sit down at the end of the day and say, I'm done. As much as I might be satisfied with something for the moment, it's always a lot of looking forward, and I think that's really been an important mindset that I've had to adapt to over the last 10 years or so. In terms of specifically being a band leader, and all aspects of playing music it's constantly a joy and an inspiration for me. Getting to meet the amount of people that I do, I think, would probably be up there in terms of one of the things that makes it so worthwhile, despite many difficult parts of it. I really, really feel like I've met some of my closest friends and just most important mentors through music.
What memories, whether, just traveling or being on stage, are you drawing on right now? Good memories during this time of absence from live music. Anything coming to mind?
In particular, there's a weekly session in Hartford at a club called Black Eyed Sally's, and it's so many people have come across the stage over the years. Absolutely, feels like the thing I'm always drawn to do on a Monday, and so I think that it's maybe the feeling of community the most that I'm thinking of when I'm looking back on the musical memories. So whether it's in that specific club where I've had the opportunity to play many times, or I think specifically this time of year too, I'm always remembering some of my favorite outdoor shows as well. And yeah, I think more of just the general feeling of being in it with a group of people, and really haven't have a couple of live stream things in the books, but right now it's been quite a while since even just playing with other people. So it's definitely a feeling that I miss.
So what have you learned from playing with a lot of esteemed jazz minds throughout the years that has helped you in teaching younger jazz musicians?
I think just realizing that everybody is just a culmination of the things and experiences that they've had in their own lives, and I've learned a lot about the music that is played in Hartford versus Rhode Island, and it's kind of really interesting how each area has their own individual sound, and each musician that I've had a chance to work with has definitely their own identity, and so whether it's something between backgrounds or just their overall outlook, I think that it's really been a treat to get to try to teach people and kind of pass on what little I can about what I've learned from other folks at this point.
We're going to get back to live music at some point, full force. And when we do, what do you hope both the musician and the audience member realizes from this absence away from music?
Yeah, I hope, that both parties, both audience and the musicians, realize, don't take it for granted. If I don't know if we ever did, but I hope that, the sort of the, way musicians are able to work will improve. I can only hope. I have a lot of hope for how we've adapted during these times, and how music lovers have come together to support individual artists at this time. So that gives me a lot of hope for how we move forward. Whenever we're able to get back to live music, I know as an audience member, I'm going to not take it for granted myself. And as a performer, I know that, if there's ever a chance that I would have, I might not give it my 100%. I'd like to think that this period of time will have absolutely changed my mindset about that. So I have hopes that it will be better after things get back to normal, or whatever they get back to after this.
What do you miss the most? What's the thing that you miss the most about, what you were used to as a professional musician around, all that time leading up to March?
I've really had a very similar schedule every day since March, and really, I really just miss the craziness, I guess, the unexpectedness. I think that's kind of something I always thrived on. As much as I like having a routine, it's always the unpredictable stuff that kind of keeps me on my toes, and really just brings me back to it each time. So I think that that's definitely just an aspect of the lifestyle in general that I've enjoyed. And of course, like I said, before, the community and just getting to see both people that I already am close with or meeting new people. I really do miss the constant evolving story. I think that I'm ready to come back out of this month-long standstill.
Everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends, your students, your fans, but you're the one that's living your life. Who do you think you are?
I guess musician, someone who enjoys writing and being around people just as much as I enjoy the solitary parts of the musician lifestyle, practicing, writing. I enjoy the community of it, and I enjoy just seeing where each day takes me. I guess I'm kind of figuring out every day who I think I am as a person, and I guess musician is as close as I can come to an identity. Musician, composer, teacher, and yeah, I'm not sure how other people see me, but I think that's probably who I feel I am first and foremost.
Right on, man. Dan, thanks for taking a minute out today to talk to Neon Jazz. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest cats in Rhode Island, Connecticut, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Dan for his time, music, and stories. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino on the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.